Turning your leftover wine into DIY vinegar or garden fertilizer. We've all been there. You open a beautiful bottle of wine, pour a glass, and then life happens, aka you fall asleep. A few days later, you're staring at a half a bottle of wine that's lost its charm. Throwing it out feels wasteful, but what else can you do? The good news is that leftover wine doesn't have to go to waste. With a little creativity, you can turn it into something useful, whether it's a batch of homemade vinegar to elevate your cooking or a nutrient boost for your garden. Repurposing wine isn't just quirky and fun, it's a small step toward living more sustainably. Let's dive into two of my favorite ways to give leftover wine a second life. DIY vinegar from bottle to culinary gold. Making your own vinegar might sound intimidating, but it's surprisingly simple. Plus, it's a great way to make something gourmet out of wine that could have otherwise gone to waste. Whether you're working with a fruity red, a crisp white, or even sparkling wine, homemade vinegar adds a punch of flavor to dressings, marinades, and many more things. What you'll need: 2 cups of leftover wine, 1 cup water, a vinegar starter, also called a mother, available online. You can check my blog to find it, a clean glass jar or bottle, a breathable cover, a rubber band or string. Now that you have all of your ingredients gathered, it's time to make your DIY vinegar. Step 1. Combine ingredients. Mix the wine and water in your glass jar. If your wine is particularly high in alcohol, above 12% ABV, diluting it with water helps the vinegar making process along. Step 2. Add the mother. Carefully add the vinegar starter to the jar. The mother is a colony of bacteria that turns alcohol into acetic acid. It's the magic behind the transformation. Step 3. Cover and store. Cover the jar with cheesecloth or a coffee filter and secure it with a rubber band. This keeps out dust while allowing airflow, which is essential for fermentation. Place the jar in a cool, dark spot like a pantry or a cupboard. Step 4. Wait. Here's where patience comes in. The process can take 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes longer, depending on the wine and environmental factors. Give it a gentle swirl every few days and sniff to check for that distinctive vinegar aroma. Step 5. Taste and bottle. Once your mixture smells and tastes like vinegar, strain it into a clean bottle and seal it. Store it at room temperature and enjoy your homemade vinegar in all your culinary creations. Wondering why you should make your own vinegar? Homemade vinegar has a complexity to it you just don't get from store-bought versions. It's tangy, flavorful, and completely customizable depending on the type of wine you use. A bright Sauvignon Blanc makes a zippy vinegar perfect for summer salads, while a deep red wine vinegar can add depth to hearty stews and sauces. Not to mention, it feels pretty cool to say, "Oh, this salad dressing? It's made from vinegar I fermented myself." Wine as garden fertilizer, a toast to your plants. If vinegar isn't your thing, don't worry, your garden will happily take your leftover wine. While you don't want to pour it directly onto plants, they aren't big drinkers after all, you can use wine to create a nutrient-rich compost tea or add it to your compost pile. Option 1. Compost tea. Compost tea is like a spa day for your plants. It's packed with nutrients that help soil health and plant growth, and wine can be a surprising addition to the mix. How to make compost tea with wine. 1. Mix 1 part leftover wine with 3 parts water. 2. Add the mixture to your compost tea. Brew a combination of compost, water, and air circulation. 3. Let it steep for 24 to 48 hours, then strain and apply to all of your plants. Wine contains small amounts of potassium, magnesium, and other trace nutrients that can benefit soil health. Just be sure to dilute it well. Too much alcohol isn't great for plants, or humans for that matter. Option 2. Add to your compost pile. Leftover wine is also a great addition to your compost pile. The sugars in wine feed the microbes that break down organic matter, speeding up the decomposition process. How to use wine in compost. 1. Pour your leftover wine evenly across the compost pile. 2. Mix it in well with the other materials to avoid concentrated wet spots. 3. Watch your compost heat up and break down faster. Pro tip: if your compost pile has been feeling a little sluggish, a splash of wine can be just the kick it needs to get back to work. Sustainability in action. Repurposing leftover wine isn't just a fun project, it's a small but meaningful way to reduce waste. Every bottle we don't toss is one less thing clogging up landfills. Plus, by making vinegar or fertilizing your garden, you're turning that wine into something useful and sustainable. It's also a great conversation starter. Trust me, when you tell your friends you're feeding your plants with wine, they'll have questions and probably a few laughs. A personal experiment. The first time I tried making vinegar, it was with a half-empty bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon that had been sitting on my counter for a week. I figured, why not? After a little research and a trip to grab a vinegar starter, I was off and running. The process was surprisingly easy, though I was convinced I'd somehow mess it up. But after a couple of weeks, I opened the jar and the smell was unmistakable, tangy, sharp, and delicious. I used that vinegar in a balsamic reduction for a pork dish, and it was a game changer. Now I make vinegar regularly, white wine for salad dressings, red wine for marinades, and even sparkling wine for a unique twist, and every time I feel a little thrill of accomplishment. Leftover wine might not have the sparkle of a freshly opened bottle, but it still has so much to give. Whether you turn it into a rich, flavorful vinegar or a nutrient boost for your garden, you're making the most of what you have, and that's something to celebrate. So the next time you find yourself with a few unfinished glasses of wine, don't pour it down the drain. Get creative, have a little fun, and toast to a more sustainable and flavorful future. Cheers to turning wine into something wonderful. This post originally appeared on my blog at michellegargiulo.com, where I write about the curious, the poetic, and everything in between.